Magdalene's blog 33. By the time we got Belle back to her apartments, she had already recovered considerably. She wanted us to go over everything that had been said several times till she had every detail fixed in her mind. Then she took some food from the altar of one of her personal shrines and gave it to us. "Eat this now and rest a while," she said, "and then if you want we can go over to see the dawn from Adonis Tower. Actually, I think it right that we should go." When we climbed the spiral stone staircase, it was so different from the steps down to Hecate's cavern, going out instead onto a starlit platform. Philippa was there, and the moon had already risen above the horizon and climbed part way up into the sky. It was more slender and yet whiter than we'd seen the night before, riding higher between some remnant clouds. But what made me start as I moved across to one of the alabaster horns was how two bright planets were riding up there too. Venus shone below the moon, and Jupiter was high up above her in the arch of the sky. "This is the time," Belle was saying. "This is the time for us." Somewhere over the other side of the town a cock crowed, and I could see the light was growing in the east, turning the sky pink and then pale blue where it reached up towards the morning star, touching me as well with the promise of its coming. As we stayed and watched, near and far more signs of life started to join in. Birdsong greeting the new day, the odd dog barking out in the town, and priestesses readying the temple's wares to take to market. At last the sun poked its golden red rim above the distant hills, and Belle indicated that it was time for us to attend the morning rite. And tired but exhilarated, I climbed back down the tower to join the throng of gathering priestesses in our court. Thankfully, I didn't have to attend my allotted duties for the day, as Belle asked Philippa to find a replacement for my shift in the washrooms that morning. Later on I did go to the gardens where I was due to be gathering herbs, and heard the news that there had been another break-in from the southern slopes, and this time one of our goats had been stolen. Uncleans, apparently, had been seen around the lower end of the valley, and it was generally thought that they were responsible, or some criminal elements that had used them for cover. The city guard had been called, but there was little or nothing they could do, only suggesting that we build a better wall on our southern boundary. This sparked a train of ideas that echoed what I thought the goddess might have meant, and I resolved to speak of it to Belle at the time of the new moon in a few days' time. Down at the bottom of the southern slopes were the graves of former priestesses, and a shrine here and there to one or other goddess. The sacred ground was bounded by a small stream thickly overgrown with thorns and bushes, and it was on the other side of this that a small shrine to Hecate had been made, over where a narrow crevice cut into the ground. It was quite near here that the break-in seemed to be happening. I asked Belle if we could enlarge the shrine to Hecate and at the same time help reinforce our boundary. But most of all I asked her if by doing this we could find a way to take offerings to the goddess there and leave them for the wretched uncleans, giving them some other chance than that of stealing for their needs. I could see Belle didn't like the idea much, but she also was freshly affected by the encounter in Hecate's temple, which had left a puzzle in the goddess's answer to the last question, which Belle admitted that she had not fully understood. Whether or not the goddesses were awaiting the same changes as we were hoping for, it was clear to me I had to make the most of my own situation. Belle gave limited approval for my scheme, as long as other duties were not affected, but I should have to find the funds myself to make it work. I threw myself into my project, first of all just spending time down at Hecate's cemetery shrine, seeing and thinking about what could be done. Then Kara came down with me, for she was worried by my being there alone in the evening. Together we were able to move small rocks to clear a bit of ground in front of the shrine, piling them instead across the broken-down stretch of wall. "You are mad," she said. "What good can come of this?" "Well, if we make a proper shrine, and leave some of our cast-off food and clothes and things, maybe the uncleans will be able to take them rather than having to steal, I replied. At least it's worth trying, Kara. I cannot stand seeing the misery and be doing nothing. Belle has given her permission, if not her blessing. Do you know of anyone that could help us build a wall around this area? Maybe, she said. It was better than her word. There were a couple of half-grown boys she knew who came and helped. They were a bit wild, but actually proved more useful than I first thought. They didn't do so much themselves, but they got the message out to the uncleans that someone was trying to help them. In the end, it was the unclean themselves that did most of the enlarging of the shrine, working in the night and guarding what they had done.